Now joining us live from Ogun State to tell us more on this topic is Dr. Sola Adeosun, a public affairs analyst. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on Galaxy TV News. Alright, so Vice President Kashim Shettima has inaugurated a 37-man tripartite committee on national minimum wage with a mandate to recommend a new national minimum wage for the country. Do you think the committee will fulfill the conditions of genuine dialogue and engage in collective bargaining in good faith?
Supposed to be involved in the negotiation and the recommendation. It's not recommendation, it's implementation that I'm looking at. And that's why I'm entertaining faith to the committee with the composition. I don't have any doubt that they will do thorough job and come up with something reasonable for Nigerians. But when it comes to implementation, that is where there will be problem. To be realistic, looking at the federal government, in Nigeria now we know the situation of things, we know the economic situation of things, generally things are hard. Now, they've involved in a lot of borrowing to an extent of borrowing money to pay salaries and wages of the staff. That is federal level. So bad to extent that we are borrowing money to pay the salary of staff. At the state level, the last minimum wage, old minimum wage, have not been duly or effectively implemented in some states of the federation. Now we are coming up with new minimum wage from the committee that will be inaugurated. I don't see any problem with the committee. They combine or they consisted of reasonable people, stakeholders that cut across every aspect of human life. They will do a thorough job. They will come up with good recommendation. But implementation is my fear.
Nigeria right now, amidst this economy, what minimum wage would you recommend for Nigerian workers?
Fine. We have to look at it holistically. One, are we going to recommend minimum wage for local government staff that will be different from the local government, that is minimum wage that we recommended for states? That will be different from the minimum wage we are going to recommend at federal level. Remember, both staff that are working under local government, state government, and federal government, they are going into the same market. And so we are expecting the same minimum wage across the local, the state, and the federal level, even at the private level. To the private sector, I don't see any problem. But they will play based on the principle of what I buy is what I'm going to sell. But to the state and the local government that depend on allocation from federal level and equally looking inward on how they can generate revenue, that is IGR. These states are endowed differently. What a state like Osun State is getting from federal allocation is not the same thing a state like Kano is getting from federal allocation. The IGR coming from local, that is Kano, for instance, is not the same IGR that's coming from Lagos, it's not the same IGR that's coming from Osun State. And this is where there will be dichotomy in what federal government staff may be getting. And some states like Lagos State or Kano State are buoyant, can pay. Some states like Osun State and other states may not be able to implement it. And this is where and so I cannot say specifically this is the minimum wage we are expecting, because it's not going to be implemented at federal level alone. It is going to occur across the state, the local government, the federal government, and private sector. And until we look at the financial capability of all the states of the federation and see whether they can actually implement it across all the states of the federation, this is when we can now say this is ideal minimum wage that will cut across. Otherwise, maybe we should be expecting a kind of minimum wage that will operate on paper, and when it comes to implementation, there must be dichotomy between this or among the states that are economically buoyant and those states that are poor.
Okay, all right. Seeing that the federal government in times past has the notorious reputation of promising and failing, so this time around, do you think Nigerian workers could trust the federal government?
Well, even presently, to be realistic, things are not easy. What Nigerians actually expected when we were looking for change from the last administration to this administration is that the persons that involved in the presidential race, the three major contenders, that is Senator Bola Tinubu, then the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and Obi, we're looking at these three people that with their wealth of experience, any of them that emerge as president of Nigeria will be able to do something in terms of economy, in terms of security. But the way things are going, it will take miracle of the millennium for us to get to where we are going. And right from the beginning of this administration, we have been thinking that things will be better. But look at what is happening to the security in the last 3 weeks. Look at what is happening to economy. Look at the naira rate compared to dollar, compared to pound sterling. Look at the refinery. We have been relying on that, okay, the private refinery will start operating so time. Port Harcourt refinery will start operating so time. Warri refinery will start operating so time. And with that, the problem of using dollar to import the fuel to Nigeria will become things of the past. But here we are. So there is no hope. And there is doubt that we are not yet getting it right. And it will take the miracle of the millennium that I've said for us to get to where we are going.
All right, we thank you so much for sharing your views with us on Galaxy Television News.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, now.